I had a fillet of fish today.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's good. It's like Harry and the Hendersons.
I haven't had one of those in forever, man.
Like for garbage, it's good.
Yeah, I can see that.
You remember that scene in Harry and the Hendersons?
No.
Have you ever seen it? Have you ever seen that movie?
I've seen it a million times, but I haven't.
He's trying to like
20 years.
Yeah, you should rewatch it. It's really good. He's trying to lure him into Lithgow's trying to get him into the car, and he's got a bag of McDonald's, and he offers him a cheeseburger, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, that's right, you're a vegetarian." So he grabs a fillet of fish, throws it in the back seat, and Harry goes after it. And ever since then, I've been like, "That's what I want, fillet of fish."
Man, I haven't had a fillet of fish in probably. I used to eat them all the time.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Hello. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Death by Podcast, the ultimate horror movie podcast. Episode, I just looked it up, episode 59. I am your host, Adam. That is your other host.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping by and listening tonight. So tonight's a big fucking curveball. If you listened last week, Kevin had the letter X, and it's slim pickings for X. It's slim pickings for Y. Z should be okay.
These, it's still slim, but it's not.
We could just rewatch Zombie High.
Yeah, I mean, it was so good,
So we spun the wheel. What's it called? The wheel of options.
Options, yeah.
Wheel of options. And and we had a theme. It was buddy movies, not buddy cop movies, but buddy movies. Could be buddy cops, but spun it. 8 movies to pick from. It landed on 1976 Silver Streak, starring Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. You had never seen this, right?
I had never seen this, but I love both those guys.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's the main topic. We got a couple other things to get into before that. If you came here looking for horror, you're just not going to get it today. But no, there's actually a couple horrific things that we can talk about before we get to that. But yeah, you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
What is your hat? What is your hat? It's like an owl.
Somebody bought this for me, and I was like, "What is it?" And they said it's the logo for Tyrell, the company in Blade Runner, I guess.
Oh, really? Oh,
but
Tyrell
I've watched
Industries.
Yeah, but I've watched Blade Runner since that, and this logo isn't in the movie. I've looked for it. It's not. Yeah, but they told me it's the logo from Blade Runner, and I was like, that's very thoughtful. But
is it an owl? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, it's an owl.
It's also got a T there.
And it's a little T, yeah. And it looks cool. It's whatever, but I've never seen this logo in the movie.
Interesting. What is it? Is it in the second one? When did you get the hat?
I got the hat way before the second one.
Oh, okay.
I've had this hat for like 10 years.
Okay. Interesting. I don't know, man. It's a cool hat. Doesn't matter. You got and you got your gremlin in the background that is wearing glasses. Why'd you put the glasses on him?
I just
so you can see better. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's awesome. I need you to take like 3 or 4 like good pictures of him with like some good lighting, and I'll post them on the Patreon.
I wish I could put clothes on him, but you'd have to destroy the clothes.
Yeah, he doesn't have a wiener, right?
No.
So it's not a matter of like, okay.
No, it's just like I would like to dress him up, Yeah, I guess I could probably put a basketball jersey on him.
Why couldn't you just? What do you mean destroy the clothes? You couldn't put kids' clothes on him? You got kids?
Well, no, because you can't get. You can't get it over his head and through his arm. His arms don't come off. One of them, the flasher gremlin.
Yeah,
it's a real bitch because it's either you really need some room for that one because his arms are always like this, but his arms come off.
Yeah.
So you can dress that one up in clothes, but he's always like this. Yeah. So it's like you better have the room for him. Yeah. And he comes with a trench coat, already. So you have to take off the trench coat and
that's awesome. I think you should get them all, man. Get them all. And
I really should,
litter your house with that kind of shit.
They are expensive.
Yeah.
But you can, what's cool is, I mean, it's not impossible to get a real one from the movie because they made so many.
Really?
Yeah. Rick Baker does auctions all the time, like on them. Like, I wonder if he has any left, but like, I think just a couple months ago, yeah, he had a big auction and
So they're available, but I'm sure if they're auctioned, they go for like a decent amount.
Yeah. I mean, oh yeah. I mean, especially like, screen used ones. Some of them have like, the puppet things in their arms so that they move.
Oh, shit.
And, some of them are only like from the waist up.
Right.
Some of them are,
That's awesome, man. That would be a cool thing.
Oh, it would be awesome, man.
But I'd want them from, well, that's all. The ones you just named are from the first movie. I mean, I like the second movie.
Well, no, Rick Baker did the second one.
Yeah. Oh, he didn't do the first?
It would, in fact, that's the only reason. It is Rick Baker, right? Yeah, it's Rick Baker.
Yeah.
No, the only reason he did he originally said no. And Joe Dante approached him because they couldn't get the first guy for some reason. And he was like, no, he's like, I have a policy. I do my own designs. I don't want to work. I don't want to just design somebody else's creature.
Right.
And Joe Dante is like, dude, literally do whatever you want. I don't care. Like we're going fucking balls of the wall on this. And he was like, okay. And like, that's why they're so different.
It's like the spider.
I mean, they've got buck teeth. They've got googly eyes. One's a dentist. Like, I mean,
isn't there one that's a bat too?
Yeah. There's a bat one. There's one made out of electricity. There's like,
is there really?
There's the girl gremlin. I mean, there's Brain's my favorite.
Is the electricity one like all like rotoscoped?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
He gets electrocuted and then becomes like, he's rotoscoped. They get him catching him inside of Gremlins 2 is a fucking masterpiece. But yeah, there's a bat gremlin. I'm trying to think. Because there's a lab inside this like building and the lab, like they're experimenting on animals and they get into all these like goofy, like there's a gremlin made out of fruit. Like
I remember that. Doesn't he like eat something and then it just starts sprouting on him?
Yeah, they jam it into his neck.
Yeah,
and he starts burping and then just like like tomatoes and like shit starts popping out of his face.
I need to rewatch that. What year is that? Is it 89?
It might be 89. Yeah,
because
it might be 90. It might be 90. No, it's 89 because it came out the same like not the same week, but it was in theaters with Back to the Future 2.
Oh, sweet.
I think I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure.
That was 80. That was 89. 3 was
3 is 90.
Is it 90? Okay.
Yeah, because they shot them both at the same time.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna rewatch that.
Gremlins 2?
But yeah, very soon.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
I know you love it.
So good.
That's great.
It kills me because G's coming up, and I think I got a good pick for G, but it's not gonna be Gremlins 2.
I think it's NECA just came out. Have you seen? There's a new like 7-inch scale, like 2-pack.
It's the construction Gremlins.
Yes. Yeah. What is it?
They're construction Gremlins. They're in like construction gear. And they have like hard hats and stuff. Yeah. It's from the second one.
It is? Okay. Why? Yeah. So they're just kind of picking random designs.
Yeah. I mean, they made all the one I honestly once a week debate about buying is Brain. He's the smart one that sings Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. And he's got the deep voice.
Yeah, and he goes on. I think is it Larry King? He goes on like a talk. No,
I think it is.
He gets interviewed by the Grandpa Munster type guy. That's whatever.
Uh-huh.
Like it's great, but yeah, he's my favorite by far. He's got glasses. He's the best.
Speaking of Grandpa Munster, you got any zombies?
Not really. He put up like 5 new tweets, and one is just like.
Zombie watch.
The monster's under an umbrella, like because it got really hot. I guess
like a picture of the cast.
Yeah, but like it's like a behind the scenes. Like it's not like they're not. It's not a scene from the movie. They're just like in their chairs under an umbrella. And then there's another shot of them like sitting on a couch, like nothing crazy. He did post. He's on tour right now, and he posted like an advertisement for his tour. The photo is it's a photo from Woodstock where it's these guys on the side of the road and they're selling acid for $1. Like they have a cardboard sign that says acid for $1. I was like, man, like how far did $1 go in 1960?
Right.
Like 8? Like, like, is that even worth your time?
That's
like,
hilarious.
Why not sell it for $2? Like it's acid.
Even $5. Like,
I mean, it's acid, and people are only going to buy one hit. They're not going to.
Man, the longer this gets dragged out, the more terrified I am of this movie. I think it's just going to be so gross. I think it's gonna be so gross.
I think the color scheme might be great. I mean, I can imagine it being like, remember in like the early 2000s when all the movies looked like they were all like orange.
Yeah.
Or like they had like a
filter,
like a yeah, and it was great. It was going on. I was like, what the fuck is happening? Why do all these movies look gross? Yeah. And they all look like a Sugar Ray video. You know what I mean? It was
Sugar Ray.
Oh, I hated it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Rob Zombie. Any other news?
No, there's not a ton of it. I mean, right. I went through with the news. There's a new movie out that is getting mixed reviews, I guess. This what's it called? Black Phone?
Ethan Hawke.
Yeah. I didn't know he was in until about half an hour ago.
Isn't that the same Sinister? What is it? It's somebody he's worked with before. I want to say it's the guy who directed Doctor Strange 1. Who's that?
Scott Derrickson.
Scott Derrickson.
I think he did do Sinister.
Yeah. Is that who's doing this? I think it is.
I don't know. But yeah, it's, you know.
So have you seen the trailer for this thing?
No, I've only seen the poster.
So it looks creepy. It also looks kind of like a little dry, maybe. But it's basically like Ethan Hawke is a creep in a mask who lures a kid over and kidnaps him and like puts him in the basement. And there's like a black phone down there, and he visits him in the basement with this weird mask on. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like kidnapping kids and doing that kind of shit. Like, can't we write about something else? It's just kind of weird.
Yeah, I'm all for it as long as it's not stupid. Yeah, we'll see. You know,
did you see Sinister?
No, I've only heard good things though.
I saw the first one and I don't really remember. I think I remember expecting more from it, but I should probably rewatch it. I did not see the second one.
I think that's where I'm at with it. Like most of the time with like modern horror movies, like I don't know. It takes it being not overhyped, but like I don't know, it's weird. Like Get Out was one that but I saw Get Out right away because I don't know why, but I just looked interesting, and I that one I think I think it's overrated, but I think it's really, really good.
It's really good. I mean, Jordan Peele's awesome. I love Key and Peele. I love his sense of humor.
Yeah, but I'm excited. He's got a new one coming out too.
Nope.
I'm excited. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I saw the trailer for that and I'm like, I'll see it. Get Out was like you said, it's a great movie that's way overhyped, even though it's great, or maybe just talked about too much or something. Cause it's like, if it's great, how can it be overhyped? I don't know, but it just is. Nope looks like, all right, well, I'm doing a movie about a phrase that people use way too much. You know, that's how I feel about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't seen the trailer. And to be fair, I mean, I like Jordan Peele, but he's in a lot of duds. That Twilight Zone show was a real
Was it bad? I haven't seen it.
I only watched one. A friend of mine who's like obsessed with the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Really wanted to like it. And it was and couldn't do it.
He's the Rod Steiger of it, right? The narrator, whatever.
Yeah. Have you been on Twilight Zone?
What's that?
Rod Serling.
Sorry. Yeah. What did I say? Rod
I don't know.
Rod Stewart. I said Rod Stewart.
Yeah, he's the Rod Stewart. That would be interesting.
Forever young.
Yeah, but he plays that part basically. Where he comes out and explains the deal.
Yeah.
But
did it have a decent cast at all, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's an anthology show, so which is, I mean, that's what's so crazy is like you look at like Black Mirror, man, and like if they call Black Mirror's great, but if they called it the Twilight Zone, all of a sudden now there's all these other expectations. Just don't. I mean, why do you have to call it? There's nothing. It's an anthology show. There's nothing that ties it to.
Well, that's the danger of doing something like that. It's like they want to use the IP.
Yeah,
they want to ride the coattails and the legacy of it. Okay, do it, but you got to make it good. It's got to raise the bar. You can't fall under the bar.
It sets a whole thing like I mean, it might have been decent, but I guess it's a double-edged sword. Like I checked it out because it's Twilight Zone, but you know what I mean? Like I probably, if you pitch it as it's a Twilight Zone type anthology show, you take Jordan Peele out of the first 2 minutes being like, you know what I mean? You just call it whatever.
Right.
It might have been great. Like, but people probably would have hated Black Mirror if it was called the Twilight Zone, because it's not that.
Right.
I
think I have a season to catch up on that. I think.
I really love that show.
Yeah,
I think I might too. The last season I saw was the season with the Star Trek episode.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it was a great one.
That was creepy and awesome. It was awesome. Yeah, I think that was the last one I saw. I didn't even I missed the like the choose your own adventure movie or whatever they did.
Oh, I watched that.
Is that neat? Was it?
Yeah, it's neat.
I still don't understand how that works, but whatever. Okay.
It's literally just like choose your own adventure. You get to a point and the remote, it says hit this button on the remote or this button on the remote. And they give you two. Sometimes they give you more than two choices, but
have you gone through it more than once to see if it actually changes?
I went through it a bunch of times. And then when you do it, it's cool. You do it once and then you try and change it up. And it's kind of like choosing your own adventure in that like sometimes like you hit a button and you just die. And then it's like, okay, well, I guess I have to go back and do that again. But eventually it does kind of, it's fun. And you know, it's fun for a couple days because then you research like, oh, how many different ways are there to go about it? I mean, I think there's like 4 different endings. And
I think, isn't the main guy in that Will Poulter? I was looking at him today. I think that's who it is. And I was looking at him today because he's playing Adam Warlock.
Oh, that's the kid from We're the Millers.
Okay.
He's in it. I think it's been a while.
Okay.
Yeah, you should check that out.
I need to check it out. Yeah.
It's like a ride.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very unique. You know, but Twilight Zone, just if you want some Twilight Zone, watch that movie, man. The 82 movie, whatever. It's so fucking good. Dan Aykroyd steals the show and he's only in it for like 3 minutes, if that. But the whole thing is great. That's a great movie to check out. Check
out the series. The series is it's crazy how well it holds up.
You talking about the old series?
Yeah. It's awesome. It's so good.
It is. There's some crazy stuff.
Yeah. The only bummer thing about it is that like, you know, it's so soaked into like culture that sometimes, you know what I mean? Like you'll get to an episode and you'll be like, I know how this ends.
Oh, sure.
You know, because it's so famous or I've seen The Simpsons. Like, because that's the thing. You watch Treehouse of Horror and like I watched all those before the Twilight Zone. And then when I watched Twilight Zone, I'm like, this is just that's what they did.
Yeah. Those guys back in the 50s ripped off The Simpsons. What else? You got any other news?
No.
What'd you watch?
I watched a couple things, but nothing really worth. I watched a movie called The Tender Bar.
What is it?
It was called The Tender Bar. It was a little disappointing. It was directed by George Clooney.
Really?
Had awesome cat. It had Ben Affleck in it. Took place in the 70s. And George Clooney, I usually really like him. This movie kind of just ran out of gas and kind of took I don't know. It was just
is it new?
Yeah, it's new. It came out in the last month. It's on Amazon.
Okay.
I don't know. It was just it was about this kid that I don't know. It was about this kid who grows up and then becomes a writer. And it was just
like a drama or a comedy.
Basically a drama. It wasn't enough of either one to be good, you know. And it was.
Clooney's a good director, man.
Clooney's a really good director, and there's a lot of choices I wish I could like ask him about. Like, why did you decide to like narratively? Like, there's all these like flash forwards to like things, but it's not as if like there's one thing in the future. So this kid is like it starts off, the kid's like 8 years old. Then like they flash to him and he's like on a bus on his way to Yale. The whole thing, like they keep talking about how you're going to go to Yale. And it keeps flashing forward to this bus where he's on his way to get interviewed for Yale. And you think, okay, well that's now. And then this is all referring back to that. But then like that keeps jumping forward too. And then like characters will talk about things like, yeah, well, you know, you work for the New York Times. You're like, wait, when the fuck did that happen? What happened? Then you'll see him get a job at the New York Times. And it's like, why did you do it like this? It's weird and disjointed and confusing. And it's like, I have to keep up with it. And it's not that it's not that complicated. It's just like, it's a weird choice. And I don't know, nobody, Ben Affleck's fantastic in it, but
he always is.
He's great.
Really pretty good.
I fucking love Affleck.
You ever see The Accountant?
Yeah, he's good in everything, man. He's good in movies that are shit. Nobody
talks about that movie. The one I haven't seen is the one he directed, Live by Night.
I still haven't seen Live by Night because it's long, and it didn't get great reviews. But everything else he directed is fucking awesome.
I bet it's good, man. I bet it's good.
What's the other one he did? What do you do? You see The Way Back? That's one of his new one. It's one of his newer ones.
Okay. Oh,
where he plays the drunk basketball coach.
Yeah. I haven't seen it.
It's so good, especially because he was going he was struggling with like alcohol at that point in his life, and he was just like
Nobody cares anymore if he's not playing Batman. It's like, hey,
yeah,
you know,
it sucks.
He hates that. That's why he quit Batman. But
I mean, I would too. I mean, that's what I say about all these movies.
Hell no, dude. Like, you get cast as Batman. I'm playing Batman for life.
Sure, but like, I get it. But also, you've seen Birdman, right?
Yeah, dude. Birdman.
Like
awesome.
that scene where like they're walking around and he's like, why don't we get this guy? And he's like, you can't. He's in he's Spider-Man. What about this guy? He's doing the Hawkman thing. He can't. And like he names like 7 actors.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck, man. And it's like with directors and writers, it's like, man, they're just scooping up all the good ones. And like, you know.
Well, but yeah, they're doing that, but it doesn't mean you can't do other stuff. It just means that your fan base is gonna,
I guess,
clamor for one thing. But who cares? Who gives a shit?
I know.
My mom, you're gonna still go. My mom, me, whatever. You're gonna still go see a Ben Affleck movie where he's not Batman. But
yeah,
dude, don't quit Batman.
Did you see the well, when you're Batman? Well, we disagree about. I like his portrayal as Batman.
Yeah.
I think his movie sucks, but
he never got a movie. That's the problem.
Well, yeah.
Had he gotten a movie, I think people would have been like, yeah, dude, thanks. That's awesome.
One more thing on Affleck.
Yeah.
He did you see him in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot?
Yeah. What was it? Which one?
In the Jay and Silent Bob movie that came out like last year.
Oh no. Did I not see that? It's a Kevin Smith movie, obviously.
Yeah.
No, I guess I didn't see that.
I tell you what, if you like Jay and Silent Bob,
I watch all Kevin Smith's movies.
Then you'll like it. Like that's the thing. Like it's not amazing, but it's like if you like Jay and Silent Bob, then you're fucking you know why you're here. Totally. Like you're here,
dude. I quoted Mallrats today, just like literally 30 minutes before we sat down to record.
I mean, yeah. If that's I don't love all of his newer movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked the new Jay and Silent Bob.
I'm gonna check that out. Definitely.
Yeah, check that out. It's free on fucking everything. I think it's on Amazon Prime or it's on one of them.
Because Kevin Smith's like, just I don't care, give me my money, whatever. Speaking of, shout out to my neighbor John. He was telling me the story tonight where he was like, he and his wife celebrated their wedding anniversary recently, and he was telling me, I said, how did you ask your wife to marry you? And he starts telling me this story, and I'm like, oh shit, is he gonna say it? I cut him off, and I was like, please tell me it was at Universal Studios, the part where Jaws pops out of the water. And he's like, Mallrats. I was like, Mallrats. But this is what he did, man. I guess you can set this up at the Shed Aquarium in Chicago here, where I guess they tie the ring to a beluga whale, and the whale swims up and comes out of the water.
Oh my God.
out of the water. And
big risk, man.
Presents you with the ring. And like, that's what they did. That's what he's like, will you marry me? Here's this whale with a ring. What the fuck?
That's nuts. I did at Chili's.
With bling? Was it like one of the pieces of bling on the?
No, I did as we were leaving. Like I was like, we walked out and I was in the parking lot. I'm like, what's that over there? And she's like, what? And I was like, here.
Dude, that doesn't surprise me.
My wife's favorite restaurant is Chili's.
Yeah, dude, you can't beat those fajitas. I haven't had them since the 80s. They were awesome in the 80s. I watched. Is that all you watched? You got that? Anything else?
Yeah, I watched the Obi-Wan show, but
yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. I wanted to recap on Stranger Things before the rest of it hits next month. Mm-hmm. And I watched season 1. I think I'm about halfway through season 2. Man, seeing those kids, like you see them how they are now, and they're like adults basically. They were little kids, and that was only 2016, I think. Fucking awesome, man. It's all great. That first season is so good. I think we take for granted, like you and I talked about on our Stranger Things season 4 episode, the evolution of the villains,
Yeah.
And the Gorgon, looking at Vecna now, thinking back to the Gorgon, you're like, oh, maybe it's a little underwhelming. It's not. It's still awesome. Just all that stuff. Like Hopper is so fucking cool. The kids are awesome. It's awesome. So I'm at season 2 where they introduced Billy. I forgot that Billy had like such a huge arc. He's my favorite character.
Billy's in season 2?
They introduced him at the beginning of season 2, and he has this arc that goes to the end of season 3. God, he is such a dickhead. And it's so awesome. It's so awesome, like knowing where he goes, and his sister Max, like she's just super cool. And I don't know
why I didn't realize that, because I knew she came in season 2.
Right. I just forgot too. It's weird, but it's cool one of my least favorite parts watching season 4 was Lucas's role, but watching, going back and watching it, I'm like, I got a new appreciation for him, especially with his relationship with Max, because you get to see that in season 4 pretty heavy, and you're like, you kind of forget. So it's cool to recap, man. It's such a great show. It really is. Great characters. Winona Ryder, jeez.
And she's great. She's always
good, man. I always loved her. I've always been a fan of hers since Beetlejuice, but she doesn't get enough credit for Alien 4.
Yeah, Alien 4, people, nobody shits on it.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's, it's a, how do you put it? It seems like it's going to be like Jason X. You know what I mean? Like it seems like, all right, let's squeeze and it's not as, and the thing, it's not as good as 1 or 2, but what is? You know what I mean? Like that's not fair.
Exactly.
It's better than 3.
Yeah,
it's way better than 3, and it's not as like stupid as it seems. I don't
totally. That's a great way to put it. That cast
is great.
Jean-Pierre Jeunet, the director, Amelie.
I didn't know that.
Amelie, Delicatessen. He did a string of movies. He's obviously a French director. He did Amelie, and then he did a string of movies before Amelie with Hellboy. What's his name? Ron Perlman.
Yeah, you're talking about
that are French movies, but Ron Perlman's in them for some reason, and he's so cool. Just awesome movies. Anyway, same director. Yeah, Brad Dourif. Come on, creepy scientist.
Brad Dourif is in it. Yeah.
The only problem, and I've said it before, the only problem I have with that's hard to watch. It's still amazing and amazing effects, is the ending. It's because it's like the way the alien dies is like,
oh, I love how the alien dies.
It's great, but it's for some reason it's like gut wrenching for me. I'm like, oh, because the only thing that alien wants is its mom, which is Ripley, and she denies him, and then he gets fucking sucked into space,
but
through a little hole.
Sucked in the best way.
It's so painful, and he's screaming, and he wants his mom, and I'm just like, oh,
yeah,
it's
awesome, man. It's what that franchise deserves. It's just like, I don't know, and nobody bitches about that one, but nobody talks about it.
Right. I remember when I saw it in the theater, I was just like, hell yeah.
You know what I think it is? It's I don't know if it's a color palette or like it looks like there's something about. Came out around that time, compared to like Halloween H2O.
Yeah,
it looks clean and like well lit. It looks like a I don't know, like a Target commercial compared to.
I know exactly what you're saying.
The other ones like are real. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how to put it.
My favorite part of that movie is Gary Durdon. I think that's how you say his name. Christie. He's got the guns in his sleeves.
Yeah. Oh, man, I should rewatch this.
He's a badass character. I love that. It's a cool movie. Sheriff of Nottingham. I mean, who is it? No, it's not. What's the dude's name? Oh, from The Crow, the villain from The Crow. What's his name? He's got the cool voice.
I don't remember.
Shit. Anyway, Winona Ryder.
Yeah. Good movie.
Good movie. All right, man. Let's talk about Kenobi briefly.
Okay.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah,
there's like three major points I think we should hit on, and I'll just say it right now. Okay, I'm just gonna say it right now. That's Reva. I want to talk about her. I want to talk about Vader, and I want to talk about Owen.
Okay,
which is unfortunate, and that I think says it all. It's a Kenobi show, and I don't think he's a point of contention in this conversation.
Well, I think, and this is kind of cynical, but a lot of people were saying. Like at the start that it's an Obi-Wan show, but it's really it's a spin-off thing to introduce Reva, because we're doing a Reva show, so we need to introduce. We can't just come up with a I mean, that's been announced.
Oh, it has.
Yeah, like from what I understand, I didn't see Disney announce it, but everybody's saying that that's the deal, and I don't know if it'll still happen. They might Ryan Johnson it, because nobody seems psyched.
That's what I'm saying, man. Reva. Like all the dickheads aside, all the racist bullshit aside.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't believe that I have to preface with this, but you can absolutely not like that character, folks. It's fine, because it's a garbage character. And that's from what I feel in the mature critiques that I've been hearing, that most people feel that way. It's a shoehorned garbage character that took away from Kenobi's story, and I don't know why they feel so compelled to do that. But yeah, the way it ends, I guess maybe there's setup for What do I do? What do I do now? Go be a good person. Okay. We're going to see her be what? Get out of here. So I have no interest in that. It's Star Wars, so I might watch it, but
I don't know. And it's just kind of like, it's one of those, the whole show just seems unnecessary. Like, why did we like need this? You know, like, was it not, you know, clear enough that like Obi-Wan and like Anakin didn't like,
right.
Like,
and I know that's something that and I understand it totally. That's a criticism that hits you personally, which is like, do we need this? And I get that with whatever property it is. There was one thing by the end of this episode, I kind of heard your voice say that. And like, I realized, yeah, maybe we don't need it, but I saw a use for it. And that is they can now tell, if their goal was to tell more Obi-Wan stories, they can do that now without having to feel like they have to tiptoe around A New Hope's Vader Kenobi confrontation, because what this did was it freed him up from the responsibility, I think, of having to stay glued to Tatooine. You think?
Maybe. I mean,
he can go do adventures now.
He can, but also, I mean,
which ties into Owen.
It's weird. Like, because
I think he now feels like Owen and Aunt Beru are enough to take care of Luke.
Yeah, for sure. But that's not where he kind of feels like in A New Hope. In A New Hope, he's kind of like your uncle, asshole.
Yeah, well, I think
that's kind of the vibe.
That's farther enough down the road where I think maybe he could be like, all right, I got to get back to Tatooine now. It's time, which is kind of what happens, you know? Like, it's time for Luke.
I don't know. There was a lot. Like, I mean, there was, and it's weird. Like, I don't think it's not. What's weird about it is like Boba Fett was like bad, so it's fun to like. This was just like, I guess so, you know.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, there was nothing in there I was like, oh, fuck off with this. Like I was with Boba Fett, but like with this, it's just, I know I complain about this, and it's not complaining, and I'm not even. This isn't my normal complaint about lightsabers, because they did nerf them, but I'm like used to it by now. But did the lightsabers seem weird to you?
Yeah, they're doing it differently now. The way they're you said
they felt more like, I don't know how to put it, but like they didn't feel like,
it feels like they're holding
sticks, like
glow sticks.
Yeah, which is what I know, that's what they're shooting with,
right? But and it should feel like it's a light almost. It's a lightsaber. I know that.
Yeah,
but like it should feel like if you could, if it wouldn't cut your fingers off, you could pass your hand through it. But this feels like there's an actual physical hard object there.
Yeah, and I know that there is.
Yeah,
but there was before too.
There was,
like,
but it
was different. Yeah, it was a little.
They drew on over it.
Yeah, I don't know, and I know that it's probably so that you can get better lighting or whatever it is. But
how did they do them? How did they do them?
You know what they feel like? Did you ever see The Last Samurai?
Yeah, that's the greatest disappointment of my life.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to love that movie, and it wasn't what I wanted it to be.
Oh my god,
I need to rewatch it because I haven't seen it since it came out. But I was disappointed big time. I was sad.
I loved it the first time I saw it, and then I took my buddy to see it, and he was on mushrooms, and that was even better watching him watch it on mushrooms. It was amazing. He can't ever like even tell me, like even when I bring it up to this day, when that was in theaters, and that's how long ago it was. He'd be like, man, fuck, I don't even want to talk about The Last Samurai, man. But anyway, it reminded me, like, that's how they feel, like the practice sticks they have, like the bamboo. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I don't know what it is. And
you didn't have, you realize you didn't have to reference Last Samurai to tell me about the bamboo.
I could have said, samurai bamboo sticks. but when, I don't know. And like I said, I bet you they nerf them, but it didn't seem as bad this time. Except when Vader got
for this
cut.
Episode, you mean?
Because I did like certain things about the fights. Like I like that Vader goes one-handed most of the time.
Yeah, I love that.
Which I never noticed that he did in Empire until somebody pointed it out to me, that he goes one-handed against Luke in Empire.
Really? Okay, I gotta. Yeah. That's when he chops his hand off. He's doing one-handed. Yeah.
But like he does it, but when he fights Obi-Wan, he does too. Like
how do you feel about just Vader's fight scenes
I mean, he left a lot of people for dead.
Yeah. Like what? How about
he doesn't seem very thorough.
Do you think it's cool when he doesn't use his lightsaber and he's just doing like force stuff?
It was neat. It was neat when he was fighting Reva because she was like so overpowered, like that he was just kicking her ass. But and one of the things about these new Star Wars movies is that when they really not overpower the Jedi, but like the part I think new Star Wars does this where they think, well, this will be cool, but they don't consider that like, hey, we've got a lot of continuity here, and like the part where like Obi-Wan like does the thing and he floats all the rocks and just launching rocks at him. That looked awesome.
Yeah,
like, that was really cool.
Yeah, it surprised me.
It's like, how come he never did anything like that, like later or before, or like nobody does shit like that? And it's like, I don't know.
We never saw this Kenobi, this version of Kenobi, once he comes into, well, I would argue that this entire show, all 6 episodes, is a presentation of Kenobi, the character, that we've never seen, whether it's at the beginning where he's like out of touch with the Force. We've never seen that before. Yeah. Or at the end where it's like, holy shit, you are the Force almost. It's like, Jesus Christ. Like he's literally like standing there like some kind of god, like raising these rocks and like launching them. And it's like, we've never seen any of this stuff, which I appreciate. The Vader fighting without a sword, Kenobi doing that stuff. I always think back to Kylo Ren when he stops the laser bolt that Poe shoots at him in the beginning.
Yeah, that I love. Some
shit that we never seen before. I love when they do that, and they to their credit, they did that in this series a couple times.
Yeah, were you surprised the because those lightsabers on the show they fly, right?
Oh yeah,
the spinning ones.
They can they can basically spin them and fly away.
Do you think like Mary Poppins?
Yeah, Mary Poppins. Straight up.
You think they didn't do that because it was like that's gonna look,
dude, when right before the show aired, the first episode, that was the biggest question. Like, are we going to see Inquisitors fly around? And it was an absolute yes. I don't know where it came from, but it wasn't in the show, so I don't know where that came from. But I think they could have put it in and it made it cool, but they didn't.
I think it would have been. I think a lot of especially with these live action shows, they have to consider people that fucking love the cartoon, but also people like me who never really watched that. Like, and if they would have just started flying around, I mean, somebody like me would be like, I mean, I knew that was a thing, but I what the hell is that? You know what I mean? Like somebody's dad's gonna be like, what are they doing? Like,
well, if you watched, you don't have to watch any of this stuff to know, just to think it's all in how they do it, and the way they do it in the cartoon, it works. Because even then it could come off as weird, but it works. Like even Darth Maul does it in the cartoon when I think he steals somebody's double saber like that. One of the Inquisitors, he kills him and he like takes the saber and flies away, and it's like, there goes Darth Maul. But it's cool. Like it works.
Wait, Obi-Wan, she gives it to Obi-Wan at the end, right?
She threw it on the ground. I don't know what happened with it.
Okay. I was just thinking like how funny it would be if it was like he's got, how many does he have? This one's neat. Like this one. Why you could have given Han and Chewie, and you could have given them lightsabers too, man.
Dude, see Chewie flying around on the Vader stuff to me was the most important thing that they were going to present, because Vader's one of those characters that like, don't fuck with Vader, man. Don't mess him up. Don't make him like sad and sorry, or don't make him overly grandiose. Like, he should be like, Rogue One was the perfect depiction of Vader in my mind at the end, you know, when he's slicing through that hallway. Like, that was like fucking that was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. This kind of took it, they tried to take it up a notch with all the, you know, no saber fighting, and it's cool and it's new. I don't know how it sits with me right now. I need to rewatch it.
I don't mind it because I think she probably sucks. Like she doesn't suck. I mean, I don't like her as a kid, but like she, as a Jedi, she sucks. She doesn't have any training. She's like basically somebody who has a lightsaber and who like probably had potential, but no training.
Yeah.
You know? So she's essentially Finn. Like, you know, she's better than Finn, but like,
she's better than Finn. She can use the Force. She uses the Force in this.
Yeah, she does, I guess, but she's basically self-trained. And that's the other thing, man. Like, she reminds one of the things I say about the prequels all the time is that like I'm not gonna like if I had my choice, I wouldn't show my kids, but I would tell them what happens in them because like it's on paper it sounds awesome. Like if you say, oh no, but this happens and this happens, it sounds great, but just the execution sucks. I think that's this character. Like if you said like, oh, she's this and then she was this and this happened, that sounds really
absolutely.
Her story is really interesting. She's just
poor execution,
and it doesn't help that like her big goal and like what she's striving to do. I mean, it takes the wind out of it because we know that she doesn't do it
right.
Like
but that's the whole point of a character like that is the arc they go through. But by the time you get to it's like when she got to Tatooine, I'm like, why are you doing this? Like,
I didn't get why go
and then she
and then she figured it out was like,
that was
that's a little bit of a stretch.
It should have ended. It was cool enough. It would have been cool enough if they had left her. You know, you could leave her dangling a plot thread that dangles after she faces Vader there and he stabs her. You could leave that, and she could, if you wanted, if there's a fan, you know, you could test the fan base. If it turns out you want to do a show later on, well, we never really saw her die. Cool. But to take her to Tatooine is stupid. And like, I do like the fact that when we found out that she was going after Vader or Anakin for these reasons, I was like, let's not do, I hope that they don't do a scene where she bests him, where she beats him.
Yeah.
And it's something he needs to recover from and learn from to be a better Darth. I'm glad that they didn't do that. I'm glad that they left it where it's like, no, he beats her hands down, almost literally every time.
She has a hard time with Owen and Beru.
Right.
Like I couldn't, that scene was so weird. Cause like it really is. That's the kind of thing that almost bugs me. It happens. I feel like it happens in new Star Wars and it happens in Marvel too, but it doesn't bother me with Marvel. You know what I mean? Like,
what?
Like for example, Captain America shouldn't be able to be like when he fights Thor in Avengers 1, he shouldn't be that Thor is so overpowered compared to Captain America that should be no contest. But because they need the scene, it works and it works in that scene and you don't think about it. And they do that in Marvel for some reason, especially when they have somebody like Captain Marvel who's so overpowered she ruins whatever scene she's in, like kind of, right? Or I don't want to bitch about her, but you know what I mean. She's a
MacGuffin kind
like
of
but it just makes it's goofy that like,
or whatever you call it,
that Thanos is having a hard time with Iron Man and then he's also having a hard time with Captain Marvel, because if he's having a hard time with Iron Man, Captain Marvel should run right through him.
Right.
But it doesn't. And anyway, this thing, where was it? That's the thing. She's fighting Darth Vader.
Owen.
She got smoked by Darth Vader.
Right.
But she's been kicking people's asses. Yeah. But then she has a hard time. Like every scene, it's just that it's like a fighting game. It's like no matter who you are, like if you're Superman or if you're Batman, you're both players have to be equally matched enough to make the scene exciting.
Well,
you know what I mean?
A character can get in it, like the Captain America Thor thing. It's like if that fight had played out, Thor would have creamed him. But it's Captain America gets an edge here, and then he doesn't over here. But we don't, if it was just like, all right, let's go, let's finish this fight, Thor creams him. But
yeah,
Reva has that major injury to her guts.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right.
That kind of plays into the Owen Beru kind of.
I forgot about that
kind of
because it was so
right. It can't believe it happened. I mean, it happened in the first place.
No, it's like I said, like these, like
it's
what are
a
these?
Good point. No,
if you got stabbed with a regular sword, you would be fucked. Let alone like
lightsaber cauterizes, right?
Does it though? I mean, I know. Okay, maybe. I know it does if you slice off.
Yeah,
but like, okay, when like Qui-Gon jammed into that door, it was like that's what I would imagine it would be doing to your insides,
melting them.
Yeah, if you just maybe not. I mean,
I wonder though if lightsabers give off heat because they're always holding them by their face,
Yeah.
You know how like Cyclops, like it's not heat.
It's not heat. It's a
concussion blast. It's a push.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's yeah. I guess.
How did you feel about Owen's scene?
It was more than I expected him to do. Yeah. It was funny. I wasn't first. I didn't love that Beru was the one that was like, no, let's go. And I was like, all right, fuck it. Yeah. All right. I'll take it. And then it was just something that was off. Like when she's like, no, we're going to fight. And she pulls the shotguns out of the wall and they're like Earth shotguns kind of. I mean, they had like it was weird. It was like
Earth
The hell are those?
shotguns.
I mean, they look like regular
Yeah.
shotguns.
Yeah,
It was like, okay, I guess.
totally.
And it was fine. And he fights her with that big giant thing.
Stick, yeah.
But it was fine. It was more than I expected them to do with him.
I would have rather it was, but I would have rather seen good drama scenes with Owen rather than action scenes.
Yeah, me too. Because that's the thing. There's so much there that you can play
and
around
it's Joel
with.
Edgerton. It's like, come on, what are you doing? And why haven't you? Yeah, I don't know. Just squandered. There's a lot of squandered opportunity in the show.
There is, yeah. And but it's not bad. It's just kind of like, and that's the thing. Like, if it's an Obi-Wan Kenobi show, it should be like, strap in. This is going to be awesome.
Absolutely.
And it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, here's another. It feels like they're making it because they have to make something. It reminds me of like with Fantastic Four when they just make movies because they're going to lose the IP if they don't, you know.
Yeah. So my least favorite part of this whole thing and my favorite part of this whole thing, the R2 Leia message in A New Hope. I think she says something like, "You served my father in the Clone Wars."
Yeah,
and that's her telling that when Obi-Wan gets the message, that's her name drop and how she's trying to entice him, like, come help.
Yeah.
So this show says, no, they had a whole adventure. They know each other. They love each other.
Yeah.
And yet they're retconning almost the sentiment within that message. And I didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
In that message, there's no allusion to them having a history or that they've met at all.
Oh, I agree. And yeah, it didn't feel like that. It felt like it was like, yeah, she was name dropping and being like, hey, like, you know, we need help. This. Like, why not say, do you remember me from this? You know,
right.
Like,
but she didn't. So why didn't this show adhere to that message? It should have. And in order to do that, they got to cut Leia out.
Yeah. And
so it's like, you know, at first I was like, all right, Leia is that's good writing that she's the reason Kenobi leaves Tatooine, leaves Luke, but it could have been something else. And after the show played out and I thought about that message, I was like, this doesn't match. Like,
exactly.
You guys really like screwed that up.
And and that's the thing. Like, and same with the Vader thing. Yeah. Technically it still matches that he's like, I haven't seen him since. And now he's thinking about this instead of, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was just like,
right.
Yeah, which was a big one. Or like I think there's a scene where he's like, he says Kenobi and like doesn't want to. I think Tarkin says like, that guy's dead. Like, what are you talking about? And he's like,
Kenobi,
yeah. And he's like, no.
He says, I feel my old master.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know. The whole thing was just like,
that's still,
but it was in service of what, you know what I mean? Those scenes worked really well before, and
those scenes matched up. I think what they did with this is they pushed them apart and they added the show, which still connects, I think, right?
Yeah, but is it worth it?
Well,
like
they wanted to see, for people who wanted to see Luke run around and chop things up as an old man, and we didn't. Well, now we get to see this. So lightsaber fighting in Star Wars is something that is probably the most beloved thing in Star Wars for fans. And it's something that at least Disney has been like shying away from, doing that thing where, you know how like at the end of Age of Ultron, Cap's at the very end, he's like, let's see the new team. And we see the new team and he's like, Avengers, but he doesn't say assemble. Like, that's how they treat lightsaber fights in Disney. It's like, or the use of lightsabers. It's like, bzz, cut, you know, like, but so this show was giving us that, but I think that matches up. That's okay. As far as New Hope goes, I really didn't like this Leia thing is a big misstep, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, at first I was like, oh, that's neat. And when I first was watching it, again, I'm always like, all right, let's go. Let's see what you got. Yeah. And then when it was like, oh, it's Leia, I was like, oh, I'm in. And then it just showed up. And I really loved the portrayal of Alderaan. I really thought it looked exactly how it looked. Especially in
this one, you get to see a little bit more. And I see what you said.
I dug it a lot. But like, and I was like, okay, I'm in. I like it. But by the time I was tired of her. Like, I didn't. Yeah, you know, and it's not her fault. I mean, kid actresses and like, I don't know, kids in anything when they get too uppity,
Right.
kind of
Absolutely.
irritate me.
Absolutely.
You know,
but that's to the credit of Stranger Things. That's what they do so well.
Yeah, they really do. You don't get tired of those kids, and they, you know,
dude. You know what that is though? It's the directors, and Deborah Chow. Unfortunately, I don't know if she was constrained in some ways because her Mandalorian episodes are some of the best.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you know, I'm starting to think that maybe that's the case because Robert Rodriguez did that awesome episode with Boba in The Mandalorian, and then the Boba Fett show sucked. His episodes were the worst. So
yeah, maybe they handcuff.
I don't know what's going on over there. My favorite thing, and it's probably the most horror element, I think, is I'm really digging Hayden Christensen, and I hope that we get to see more with him. I don't know how they would use him, but when he gets sliced in the face, man.
Yeah.
And that scene is just amazing.
It was awesome.
It goes back and forth between Hayden and James Earl Jones's voice, and the look, his facial expression, and it's only half his face. So the dude's a good actor. And I love how he says, like, I think Obi-Wan says, like, then Anakin is truly lost or truly gone. Yeah. And Vader says, and the look on his face, he's like, he says something like, I killed him. He says,
like, you didn't kill him. I
killed Anakin.
See, I thought that line was kind of weak. I thought every other line worked. And that one, I was like,
I loved the line matched with the facial expression. It was terrifying. The way it was lit. That was the best directing, I think, in the whole show.
Yeah.
Scene.
It was cool. And when he did it, I was like when they started that scene, like because I know they did that in Rebels too.
Did what?
They knocked off half his mask
with Ahsoka.
And I was thinking like they did this already. Like, True. I mean, because I haven't seen all that, but like I've seen that scene. And it was neat,
but think about it this way: when they do it with Ahsoka and Rebels, it's Vader and his Padawan. When they do it with Obi-Wan, it's Vader and his master. So it's this cool, two-way. Now the whole spectrum has seen.
It's kind of cool.
That's kind of cool. They've seen that Vader or Anakin is truly gone, his master and his Padawan.
He really, and that's. I mean, this is, my issues with episode 3. He's so, I don't know. That's the one thing I don't feel like matches up, even though it should. I think it's the fault of episode 3 that like something should have happened in episode 3 that I know he gets, his legs chopped off and, all that stuff. But like, I don't understand why he's so angry. You know what I mean? There's no like,
I hate you.
Right. Like, I mean, I don't.
You mean that?
Yeah. But to still be like that after fucking 10 years, like to still be.
I
get the motivation that he did in episode 3, where it's like, okay, I have to do this to save my wife. But then like, why would you continue? I guess you're pissed, but like, just like when he's walking through breaking people's necks and stuff in this, and just like, it was cool to see, but it was like, Jesus, man. Like
I understand. I'm the opposite. I understand Vader's anger because Obi-Wan chopped him up and now he's this monster, this physical fucked up thing that can't survive without this suit. What I don't understand is why was he so angry back then in episode 3? I know he was he was twisted by the dark side and by Palpatine, but that scene where that's always sat with me weird when he's just like, he just fucking hates everything. And it's like, dude? Why?
That's my biggest. I mean, I have a lot of issues with 3. 3 is,
it's my least favorite.
It's my least favorite of the prequels. But
Attack of the Clones is the best. Dang.
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know.
It's because of I did an episode on it on the Star Wars podcast.
Yeah, I listened to that. It was good.
It's just like, it's got some of the worst stuff of the prequels. It's got the worst stuff of the prequels. But it's also got the best, I think. The Jango Fett stuff, I love that.
It's not, and I think it's
Kenobi stuff at the beginning.
It's probably the best. When you add all the supplemental stuff from the cartoon, it's probably the best. It's probably held up the best.
Right.
But no, that's what I've always hated about 3 is that like he's tricked. It should be like in my head canon when I was a kid, it was like, he was seduced by the dark side, probably meaning that there's all this other shit that like they're like, hey, don't learn that. And he was like, fuck that. I want to be the best Jedi I can be. I can learn this and be good. Like I can learn this and Like you're afraid of it. Like fuck you.
Yeah.
And I always, you know what I mean? Like, and that's why he's so powerful. Like that's, you know what I mean? He's better at it, but like he was tricked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was duped, and just like, it's just, you know, I always wonder like if it would have been like, if they would have put in like even if he wrongfully thought Obi-Wan and Padme were like a thing, like
right,
that could have worked, or like something. But even like, I don't know, I never liked that like, why does he even have any allegiance to Palpatine after Padme's dead? You know, like I don't get it.
I think by that point, I think he's just lost, you know, and I can take that. I can digest that, but it always felt overboard. I do love that Vader. I like the depiction of Vader in this series by the end of it, you know, and there was just a couple missteps with him, but they didn't make anything terrible. I don't ever want to feel sorry for Vader until the only time I want to feel sorry for him is at the end of Jedi when he takes his helmet off and he's with Luke. That's the only time. Every time I see Vader, I want to think the worst of the worst and the strongest and just the best. Like you can't beat Vader. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's how it should always be. But they were going to do it. So we needed to see him get beat so that the line matches up. Okay. We've done it.
Do you think that this and I know nobody's ever going to watch all this shit chronologically or in order of release, but like, do you feel like it kind of like when Vader takes his mask off at the end of 3, and even when you see the back of it in Empire, it's like a holy shit, like especially in Empire. But like when you see that he's like an old, feeble, like man under, like it's a thing. Does it kind of take the wind out of it? Like
what
they keep showing him in the tank, and
at this point, no, because it's early for me. It's far enough removed from the original series. I've always wanted to see more Vader stuff. I've always wanted to see him in his prime, right? I think this series ends with him approaching his prime. After this series, all right, he got beat by Kenobi for the last time. They'll never see each other again until A New Hope. So everything that happens after this is like, get the fuck out of the way, because this dude is going to be that much more angry. He's going to be that much more studied and powerful, and you're fucked.
That's another thing, though. You know what I just thought about? That line is fucked now. When he goes, when last I saw you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
No, it still works because Kenobi beat him.
Yeah, but he wasn't the learner. Like they were just.
Well, the learner. Yes, he is. I think because he got his ass handed to him in the end. You got a lot to learn. And that's what I'm saying. Like,
maybe you're right. I guess that does. But that's what I mean is like that we have to do that to be like, I guess it still makes sense. Like
it could have worked without the series. Leave him at Mustafar. He was fucked. you know, Obi-Wan Kenobi fucked him up. That could have worked, but you're going to do the series. So he's got to fuck him up again. And I think that adds more to the learner line, because Mustafar, you got beat by Kenobi. Here you got beat by Kenobi. What's the lesson, learner? You can't beat Kenobi. I think is the lesson. So he's still a learner. That's how
I'll take that.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I mean about it. It's like, all right, and after all is said and done, like, this whole thing, it just feels sort of unnecessary. And if it wasn't going to be amazing, like if it wasn't going to be great, then I guess it's fine. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, I agree. And to enjoy Star Wars going forward, I think the number one thing you can do as a fan is go, it's not necessary. Solo, it wasn't necessary. Kenobi, Boba Fett, none of it's necessary, because we already know those stories. And which is, as much as I love the Skywalker era, I guess I'm approaching the point. If this stuff was great, I'd be like, give me more. And Mandalorian works that way for now. But now I'm like, all right, let's see new stuff. And Taika Waititi's movie, they just announced, first of all, it's going to be a movie. Awesome. Thank you. Taika Waititi, he does good stuff. And he's going to do something that has nothing to do with Skywalker era. So we'll see where this goes.
If
you want some amazing Vader stuff without question, check out the comics. The Vader comics have been good since 2015, and especially that first run from 2015.
Oh God,
I think it was Kieran Gillen. I think wrote that.
What did you think of the Qui-Gon at the end?
Oh, that's where I was going to end up.
Yeah.
So I loved it. You knew it was going to happen.
It was a big, like,
he can't be talking to him this whole show and him not show up.
Yeah,
what a dickhead, you know.
It felt like a check mark. Like, yeah, okay, here he is. Here, we got him for a day, for half a day.
So
we put a that beard was rough.
My initial reaction was, what the fuck happened to Liam Neeson? Because he didn't look healthy. He looked, I mean, I hate to say this, but he looks like he had a stroke or something. I don't know. He didn't look healthy.
I mean, he's probably, how old was he? I was looking up Ewan McGregor's age today. Yeah. I don't know how old he was, but that was 20 years ago when he was.
I know. Qui-Gon. I love Qui-Gon, man. Qui-Gon's a badass character that I wish we had more of long ago. He's going to show up again. It's the whole, they're going to do more. I'm guessing they'll do another Kenobi series and Qui-Gon will be the Yoda.
I really wonder if they will, especially just because this one, it feels like such a wasted opportunity. It felt like I don't know. Well,
the way they ended it, like I said, they freed him up to tell Kenobi stories that, like, Kenobi can go off on an adventure now, way out in space. He doesn't need to be on Tatooine with Luke. He'll come back, like we know, but I think you can do another series where he's just like, because he learned his lesson. His lesson was the Jedi. Like, I'm a Jedi. His lesson was Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility, and you can't squander it. You can't sit on your hands. So Kenobi's going to go out and do stuff. I think Reva's going to go do stuff. Vader's going to go do stuff. I'm down with whatever, but man, I just hope if they're going to do more Reva stuff,
that's the other thing with her is, like, the one thing that is interesting about her, even though, like, I don't think it works, but, like, that's interesting. She wants to kill Vader. She's a this and she's that. Yeah. But, like, now you don't even have that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
the only story they can tell with her is redemption and go. They're going to actually, dude, I said this for the longest time. The story I wanted with Kylo Ren at the end of the third movie was for him to die is like, what? Yeah. He's got
kill Rey.
He's got stuff to atone for.
Yeah.
I want to see him doing. I want to see him going around the galaxy being like, yo, I know you guys hate me, but I want to help. I'm here to help. Join the resistance. Like, I wish they had done that. You don't even have to kill Rey. Just don't kill Kylo.
Is that the worst thing?
Let's see Ben Solo. So I think that what they're doing is what I wanted them to do with Kylo is she's going to go around the galaxy and atone for her bullshit. Maybe she'll go after the Inquisitors.
How awesome would that be if Kylo, like, had to start the Jedi school,
pick up where Luke left off or whatever?
Yeah. Like, rebuild the school that he fucking destroyed.
Like, by hand.
What are they fucking doing over there?
Why are we the ones that are like, thinking about this stuff?
It's just
all right. That's the end. Let's talk about this other movie, Silver Streak.
Yeah.
1976. So Gene Wilder. I said this before. He's my favorite actor of all time. I feel like he's probably the most underrated actor. He does some weird shit. He didn't do a lot of stuff.
He was very choosy.
Yes. And the things that he chose, side note, were very sexual in nature for some reason. Have you ever noticed this?
I think that might have been him. Like that. Like he
not was, just this movie. Yeah, it was him, I think. But
yeah,
it was like this movie had a lot of awkwardness to it. I think my biggest question to you is, by this point in 76, he had done his Mel Brooks stuff. He did Blazing Saddles. He did Young Frankenstein. He did, I'm pretty sure maybe this was after this, but Everything You Want to Know About Sex, But We're Afraid to Ask. Great movie.
That's Woody Allen.
Oh, that's Woody Allen. My fault.
Yeah.
So anyway, my point is with the Mel Brooks stuff, at least those two movies were massive social commentaries, especially Blazing Saddles on racism and stuff. When it came out, I think it was 69 when it came out.
I don't know what year that came out.
Because Young Frankenstein was 74. I know that. And this movie comes along in 76, right?
This is before Stir Crazy or after?
This is, I want to say before. Stir Crazy, I think, was in the 80s.
Is this so? This is his.
This
isn't the first time he worked with Pryor, though. He worked with Pryor one time before this.
I think you're right. See No Evil, Hear No Evil was 89.
Yeah,
Silver Streak is 86. What was the other one you just said? Stir Crazy.
Yeah,
Stir Crazy.
There's another one though that they worked together because there was, I forget what it is, but they and because he talks about it on Conan that he was just immediately like, yep, we're on the exact same page.
Right. So do you think that this movie, coming after those social commentary movies, do you think this movie, when it was being made, is self-aware of the content, or do you think that it was a misstep for the time?
I don't think it was
the race stuff. Like the N-word is used in this, and it's situational. I get it.
It's situational, but it's also 1976. Like it's not
face.
And that's the thing. Like there's things in the movie that don't hold up as like socially, like the blackface scene. And
that's what I'm asking though. Is when
the movie
in Blazing Saddles, this stuff was tongue in cheek, and it was to make a point of how stupid that stuff is.
Yeah.
You don't think that's the case with this? You think
no,
because you can't ignore or not be aware of Blazing Saddles at this point, as a movie maker.
Yeah.
Working with Gene Wilder, who was
I don't think it's like social commentary. I think the blackface scene is just they wrote a funny scene.
Right.
And
it's my favorite scene in the movie.
It's we can get on the blackface scene, but okay, especially the one N-word that they drop.
Right.
As much as, was it necessary? No. However, it added to the scene, and it also was like, it's 1976. They got like, it adds not authenticity. That's what the guy would have said. It's not, you know what I mean?
For that character, it makes sense. Totally.
Yeah. It's not that, but frankly, like when I heard the like gun cock.
Yeah.
I heard him say it before he said it. I knew exactly what he was going to say.
Right.
Like, because it
makes sense for the,
exactly. And for the time and for the time, like that's how people talked then. Yeah. It was way more common to hear it on a daily basis and very like nonchalantly.
But not even then. I feel like if this movie was made today with that same character, I think the line is still in there.
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, but it's maybe. I don't think so. First of all, no way is it.
I think today, if you make a movie today that has a redneck hillbilly character who's an idiot, I think if they use that word, it fits for the character.
Yeah, but this guy, he's got. I think that's like his only line, really.
Yeah.
He says this, and then Gene Wilder tackles him.
But immediately who he is.
But he's also not. Yeah, but it's also, I don't know. I don't think if they made it now, they wouldn't put it in there. But it wouldn't, if it took place in modern times, it wouldn't work now because that guy's a piece of shit now. Uh-huh. Like, you know what I mean? Like, frankly, saying the N-word in 1976 wasn't
shocking. I get it.
It wasn't as shocking. It wasn't. Yeah, it was. Growing up, I had uncles that I heard it very like just thrown around, and it wasn't uncommon. Yeah. It was just
because, and it's not just that. It's not just the race stuff in this movie. A lot of the like the opening scene on the train, there's all these like sexual innuendos that are like, it's like, whoa, man, what did we like? I'm not a prude, but like it was a lot. And it was like,
oh yeah, Ned Beatty.
Ned Beatty. Like,
yeah,
insane. Well, here, all right. Before we go too deep.
Yeah.
Number one, did you like the movie?
I loved it, man. Okay, I loved it. It was not what I was expecting.
Totally. I wanted to read the back of the VHS. All right. So the back of the VHS, you ready? In this wild comedy adventure, rail passenger George Caldwell, Gene Wilder, finds that a romantic escapade with a sultry, I always mess that word up and say slutty, but it's sultry secretary, Jill Clayburgh, is that how you say her name?
Yeah.
Puts him in the middle of a Hitchcockian murder plot. That's a stretch.
Yeah.
Leaping on and off the train, in and out of roomettes, bars and dining cars, George teams up with an amiable small-time crook, Richard Pryor, to defy the murderers, henchmen, FBI agents, and a host of other outrageous characters. Sure. Okay. So you liked it.
Oh yeah, I love it.
All right.
Yeah, it was great. Like I said, it wasn't what I was expecting. I was spending a lot more Richard Pryor.
Yeah, he doesn't come in until
the 63-minute mark.
I know shit. So the third act. It's the third act.
There's a lot without him. And then, but once he's in, it's great. And he fits so well. Like it just, I don't know if that's just their chemistry or what.
It is, man. Like you said, the Conan interview, Wilder says like, we were just like two, like yin and yang.
Yeah.
On screen, off screen, I guess they didn't hang out so much, but on screen, yeah.
It's neat because like he goes through like, you know, you get these characters and these repeat characters too, that like come and go, you know, like he meets that one redneck lady that makes him milk a cow. And then, you know, and then she's just out of the movie, you know, and same with Ned Beatty. He's in it. Like Ned Beatty is a main character, and then he's just not in the movie anymore, you know, and they keep doing that. And then by the time they get to Richard Pryor, they're like, all right, we're going to roll with him for the rest of the movie. But it was, and there were a lot of those, and it was less of a comedy than I was expecting. It's, you know,
especially towards the end.
Yeah. Or even the beginning, it felt more like Die Hard than, you know, I mean, not as like a hardcore action movie,
which is crazy.
Just the guy being like
for a Gene Wilder movie.
I mean, everybody was good. The cast is great.
Gene Wilder. All right. So directed by Arthur Hiller, who has a ton of shit. He did several of, maybe all of the Richard Pryor, Gene Wilder team up movies, all the way back to like Out of Towners with Jack Lemmon. And then through this, he did Outrageous Fortune, which was one we were just recently talking about possibly doing for this. A bunch of like 80s Carpool, Poppy, your favorite, some Walter Matthau movies. Like he did some stuff, man. The cast: Richard Pryor, Gene Wilder, Ned Beatty. Scatman Crothers was awesome in this.
Scatman Crothers is great. Right. It's always good to see him. Yeah.
Fred Willard had a spot at the end.
Yeah, he was great.
Ray Walston, Mr. Hand from
Mr. Hand. Yeah. And he was really good. He was one of my favorite parts.
Fast and Jaws. I don't know the actor's name.
Richard Keel, I think is his name. You know what's wild?
Jaws from James Bond.
This came out. So he's Jaws in 2 James Bond movies.
Right.
The Spy Who Loved Me. They came out in 1977.
Okay.
And Moonraker. They came out in 1979. This came out in 1976.
Right.
And he wears the
teeth.
The teeth that like Jaws does.
I had the same thought, and then I was like, maybe that's just his teeth.
No, I mean, he's in a lot of them. He's in Happy Gilmore. He's in a lot of other movies. Okay. Those are not his regular teeth.
Really? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe this is where they got the idea for Jaws then.
And I looked it up. Like, well, wait, is this in continuity? Is this in the James Bond universe? Like, what is going on?
That's hilarious.
And it's not. It's just like, oh yeah, he also played a guy like this in James Bond. It's like, what do you mean? Like, like, and apparently, like that role wasn't. He was a last minute casting in this. Like that was somebody else's part that either died or got fired or something. Okay. And they brought him on last minute.
He's only got a couple scenes, but he's like, just watch. He's so fucking big. Like the scene where he's walking behind Gene Wilder, it's like, Jesus Christ. Like, and Gene Wilder, it's almost like, I forget what he says, but his reaction to this, because Jaws is pushing him forward, like, come on, go down this hallway on the train. And Gene Wilder's like looking behind him, like he's so big, he almost can't see him. Like, he's like, who is this? Yeah. And he chucks him off the train. He
just died a couple of years ago, but
he made it that.
Yeah. He was
rest in peace.
I mean, he's hysterical in Happy Gilmore.
Okay.
Have you seen that movie?
Yeah. When it came out, like,
oh man, he's got some great scenes with what the hell is it? What's Shooter McGavin's real name? You know him to see him. He's in fucking everything. I can't remember the actor's real name. God damn it. No, the bad guy. The bad guy.
Oh, it's Julian Prescott or something. I don't know.
Nope, it's not Julian Prescott.
No?
I forget his name. Right. Anyway, he's got some great scenes with him. Anyway, yeah, that guy kicks ass. Mr. Hand, I thought was awesome. He was so badass and cool.
Yeah, he's a scumbag. Totally.
Yeah, he was a total scumbag, and he was I totally expected that the girl was going to be in on it.
Yeah, I did too.
Like that was not what I was expecting.
The jizz of the story is, it's like I guess it is kind of Hitchcockian in a way, but there's like a professor who's going to publish something that's, the bad guys don't want them to be published, and they're called like the Rembrandt letters. And am I right on that? Like,
yeah, the bad guy is a he authenticates like paintings.
Okay.
And and this letter is basically saying that this guy fucked up big twice.
Right. And so Gene Wilder fumbles onto the plot while they're on the Silver Streak train for 2.5 days from LA to Chicago, ironically. And along the way, hilarity ensues. Like Gene Wilder gets thrown off the train 3 times, I think.
Yeah.
Which I had forgotten. And I'm like, oh shit, he just got thrown off the train. Like, how's he going to get back on the train? Like, and he does.
He keeps wanting to give. And that's the other thing. Like, I kept being like, I mean, you throw me off the train once. I'm like, well, I guess that guy's just gonna, like, I guess those paintings are just gonna go. Yeah, people are gonna think they're not really him. I don't know. Like, totally. Who gives a fuck?
Totally. Like I've only been on a train like once or twice, I think. Well, this kind of train. I definitely would not have gotten back on the train. That like Ned Beatty at the beginning, he has some lines, and I wish we had brought back our final questions, because man, there's some lines in this movie that are ruthless, just bizarre conversations that they have at the beginning. And I had forgotten he was an agent, and he's like,
that's the thing, like that doesn't work. Like if he's an agent, like those scenes totally work when he's just an asshole on the train,
right?
But like once you know he's an agent, it's like, why'd he do all that? Like why was he like, I mean, I guess he was trying to blend in,
play a character, sure.
Yeah, but like, I mean, he went pretty far with it, like going up and hitting on, especially when he knew she was like not a potential, like that she was part of the circle of people he was watching, you know?
Right. There's like when he's talking to, I forget the character's name, but the actress, Joe Klaber, like one of his lines, he's like, you know, they're talking like, and you know, I don't know if it was like 70s weird, awkward, adult, sexy talk or what it was, but like at one point he says, I give good French. And then she asks him like, are you hot? And it was just this real like stale, generic talk that made me feel like I was watching.
Yeah.
Like,
he says, are you going all the way?
Yeah. And I was like, what are we doing? This feels like
goes,
it's just
all the way to
weird.
Chicago. Yeah. It was, it was weird. It was how has this ever worked? Like, what is this? But it worked for him. I thought he was really good, you know, especially once they reveal that he's an agent. I was like, oh man, I like this. Like he's
absolutely,
you know,
Ned Beatty. What did we just watch that Ned Beatty was in?
I don't know. I don't remember him.
We watched something recently that he was in. Did the comedy work for you?
Yeah, all the comedy work, especially once Richard Pryor came in. Man, like that guy he just oozes charisma. Everything he does is. I'm a big Richard Pryor fan. I've got a painting of him in my house. Like I love Richard Pryor.
Awesome.
And he's so fucking cool.
I feel like almost all his lines, a lot of his lines were improv.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm sure he gave it like his spice, you know, and he just, you know, and he works so well against, Gene Wilder, because he's just such a straight man, you know,
right.
Like,
does Gene Wilder do it for you on a comedy level?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I love.
That's why I love him, man. His like deadpan. The scene where he they leave the food car and he's got champagne glasses and a bottle of champagne in his arm, and he like kind of like knocks on the wrong door and opens it, and he's like, this will only take a second, and he like knocks on the walls.
Yeah, just
like,
to check
everything. He's like, it's all good here. He like yells into the hallway, it's all good here, and he leaves. I love that shit, man. I love his delivery of comedic lines like that.
I tell you what, I wish if we ever do drops, and I can't believe it's not, you don't hear it more, is when he's yelling at the cop and he's just like, he goes, you stupid bastard. I've met some dumb bastards in my life.
I wrote that.
Jesus Christ.
I wrote that line down. He says, you stupid, ignorant son of a bitch, dumb bastard. It's so good, man.
And it shouldn't work, but it rolls
doesn't.
off.
It's the way he delivers it. It's like you don't think he's going to follow it with anything. Like you think he's going to say you stupid idiot, or you stupid ignorant idiot, but he like keeps adding shit to it.
It reminds me. Yeah,
go ahead.
It reminds me of Pacino in, I think it's Heat, where he's chewing out. Is it Heat or is it he's chewing out Kevin Spacey? It might be Glengarry Glen Ross.
Glengarry Glen Ross.
It is Glengarry
Spacey. Yeah.
Where he goes. Yeah, where he says, I
need to rewatch that. That's a great.
It's one of the best. If you could edit in what he says, he says like, He's like, he says, like, you maggot. It's like, who told you could work with men? He's talking
to Spacey on that.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah, it's the best because he just keeps coming with these like,
it reminds me of William Shatner in Star Trek, The Hunt for the Whales. And when he yells at the taxi, what does he say? He says, like, when the taxi like almost runs him over and he
calls him a double dumbass. The guy calls him a dumbass. He goes, double dumbass on you, which is hilarious because he doesn't know how to swear.
Exactly. That's kind of
tell that to new Star Trek, by the way, because they drop fucking F-bombs like it's nobody's business. And
really,
it's just,
where do they do that?
On Picard, on Discovery. Yeah, they do it all the time, and it's just like, that's
not Star Trek, man.
No, it's not.
F-bombs, that's not Star Trek.
Oh, right. Hardcore F-bombs.
Let's not
an
get
old
you.
lady tells Picard. I don't want to get into it. It's
come
gross.
Back, Kevin. Come back, Kevin.
Yeah, but back to us. But it's hilarious. He doesn't know how to swear, and like Spock asked him about it. He's like, "What was that? Like, what did you call that guy?"
Yeah,
and like, he's that scene on the bus. He's like, "That's how people talk. You can't." But he doesn't know what.
And he's from Earth, and he's from Earth, so it's like,
Star Trek 4 is awesome. Yeah,
search for whales.
Wait, why does that scene remind you of?
I don't know. I guess it's just
of this.
I guess it's just the
double dumbass on
you because it's like Gene Wilder delivering that line, the insults. It's like, I don't know. He doesn't know how to swear. Like,
well, at that point, he does. He's been dealing with like, this cop, and the guy's a great Wiggum. Like the guy just,
totally.
You know, man, it's a very well cast movie.
The when you mentioned the lady, the farm lady with the airplane, another weird scene when he's after that scene, he's talking to somebody and somebody says, like, where have you been? Oh, I guess it's Ned Beatty. He's like, did you get it? He gets back on the train after the lady, and Ned Beatty's like, where have you been? Getting a little ass. and Gene Wilder says, no, I was squeezing tits. And it's like, it's just weird, man. It's just these two guys. It's weird dialogue. It's just weird. Am I right? I mean, it's like
a little bit, but that didn't bother me at all. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know if it's just
I think time the movie takes place in this movie. There's a lot of that talk.
Yeah.
In this movie. It's weird.
That one didn't bother me at all. Like, not even bother me. That's the wrong word, but like didn't stick out to me. I like the Ned Beatty like hit on her scene that stuck out like, oh, this is of its time.
Yeah.
But when we get to the blackface scene, I don't think that, like, you know, we used to do the like, does it hold up like socially or whatever? I think that totally does. Like, I don't like when I watch that. We'll get to it, but fuck it, we'll get into it.
Get to it.
I don't think that that's a racist scene, and I know that like blackface is unethical and not cool to do.
Richard Pryor references Al Jolson in the scene.
The whole thing.
So they're aware of. That's why at the beginning of this, I asked you, like, do you think this movie is aware? Because I really don't know. Because it kind of goes back and forth with like being like, we're doing this as social commentary and we're aware of what we're doing, and then also like, are we? Like,
well,
are we missing
blackface? Just blackface. Period wasn't the mortal sin that it is now, where it's like it doesn't matter why or what point you're trying to make. If you do it, you're fucked. Like that. Do not ever do it for any reason whatsoever. Is the 2021 stance? That's Ted Danson did it 20 years ago, and like, you know what I mean. And he got in trouble, but it was like he was trying to make it. Fucking Sarah Silverman did it like 10 years ago on her show. You know, like, and because she was making a joke about blackface. You know,
that's what I'm saying. She was making a point with her comedy,
but it wasn't a big deal when she did it. It became a big deal. Later.
She was saying like she knew it was not a good thing.
Yeah, obviously,
and she was doing it to point out that's what I'm saying. Like, is this movie doing that or not? I don't know.
I don't think so, but I don't. Even if it isn't, like like I said, I don't need it to be saying blackface is bad in order for it not to be racist. You know what I mean? I don't think. I mean, maybe this is like a controversial take. I don't think it's, even though he does do blackface in the scene, I don't think it's a racist scene at all. Like it's literally them being like, okay, I need to get on the train. Right. How can we get on the train? It's Richard Pryor's like here's how we do it, man. Like, I buy this shoe polish, I put it on your face, and they're not going to see you.
Right.
And then he takes it off when he gets on the train. It's not like there's no,
Right.
and yeah, he just jump around and say like jive turkey and shit. But like,
I mean, it's hilarious.
that is just for the comedy. Like that is,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
To show how awkward he is.
I would love to have a real debate and be like, I don't see the racism in this scene. I really don't.
And this is a total like white guy comment.
Yeah.
This is a total white guy comment here. As far as like, obviously you and I have never been subject to that kind of any kind of
Sure.
discrimination to that on that level or in that realm. So I'm going to say like, this was all done with Richard Pryor right there. And Richard Pryor was a person who was absolutely aware of what was good, what works and what doesn't, what's okay and what's not. So I'm wondering,
there is a thing with this scene with him.
Okay.
I don't know how, again, it's on the IMDb, and it's hard to find special like features about this stuff and this movie, but apparently this is, take it with a grain of salt, but apparently he originally the scene was written. So after Richard Pryor leaves the bathroom,
right,
for some reason, the guy that they just bought all the shoe polish off of, the black guy, comes in and sees Gene Wilder, practicing. And, yeah. And he says like, I forget what he says. I think he
tells him to like loosen up and feel the beat.
Yeah. He says like, hey man, he knows what he's doing immediately.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, don't worry about it, whatever. Apparently that scene was originally written as a white guy comes in the bathroom and he's doing it. And the white guy doesn't notice. The white guy is like, whatever. Like, I don't know how this scene played out. Richard Pryor said, no, it should be a black guy that walks in.
Okay.
And does it. And apparently it was a big thing where Richard Pryor said, like walked off the set and they had to shoot it the next day because he was like, nah, it should be whatever. So I don't know.
He walked off the set because they had a white dude coming in.
Well, not because they had a white dude. He said, I don't know if it was because the scene worked better or it's funnier or I don't know how much. I don't know. I'd like to really dive in. That's all the detail I have. Yeah. But originally the scene was written to be a white guy. Okay. And he rewrote it to be a black guy and say this instead of that. And that's all I know. Okay. I don't know.
I mean, that leads me to believe that he had input on the scene and the situation that was going on, and hopefully, geared it towards what he felt comfortable was acceptable or what was acceptable. So with that in mind, there have been plenty of things in every movie that we've watched, probably, especially the ones from the 80s. Right on the tip of my brain is Once Bitten, Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
The bathroom scene, Eddie Murphy, everything he's ever done in the 80s, all that stuff where it's whether they use the word fag or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Stuff in the 80s where we like, it doesn't excuse it, especially nowadays, it doesn't make it good, but you laughed at it because it was funny. It was a funny situation. Most of it's situational comedy. You're not laughing at the demeaning of like if somebody was like fag and then punched him and threw him to the ground, I'm not going to laugh at that scene. But when two idiots are like tossing the word around and it in an 80s movie, it's like, I laughed at that as a kid. I'm laughing at it now. It doesn't make it right.
Looking at it in the context of the time is different than
right.
There are scenes now that I'm like, that's not funny. I mean, I've made stuff that like I look at now and I'm like, oh, that was not great. Probably shouldn't have. That was probably problematic. But like, and there's definitely stuff that I'm like, ooh, that doesn't work anymore. Absolutely. But I don't think this is one of them. I think if you did this scene now, maybe not now, if you did it 5 years ago or 10 years ago, I think it's just as funny. I really like if you do this in The Hangover, I think it works.
I think if you make, I don't know about The Hangover, but like,
I just think that the scene itself,
I agree,
totally works.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Weird. It doesn't feel like it. Like there are scenes we watch where I feel icky. Like, ooh, that one, that's a little rough.
Yeah.
But I don't have that with this.
I think if this movie is remade today, I think you leave the scene in, you have whatever actors you choose, and I think it still works. And I think people look at it, and especially if it's made today, it's going to be made by people who are aware of social climate, social commentary, all that stuff. So they're not going to do it being like, oh shit, we didn't realize that was problematic. I think you can remake it today, exactly shot for shot, same situation, and it's accepted. I don't think it's going to get any flack because it's like it's like for a purpose, and it's by people. It's being made in a realm, in a world that is aware.
Well, it serves it's exactly like
serves the story.
It's not, and it's not trying to make social commentary, and it's not trying. I don't know. What it reminds me of is the scene in the first Rush Hour movie where
in a long time, man.
Oh man, it's the best scene in the movie.
Okay.
They go into a bar, they basically go into a black bar. Chris Tucker's like, let me do the talking, okay? And he comes in and he's like, he sees a few black guys shooting pool, and to every black guy comes up, he goes, "What's up, my?" And he drops an M-bomb because he's Chris Tucker, and he's like, "What's up?" And he says that to all of them, right? As he leaves, and then he goes in the back room and he leaves Jackie Chan with a couple of them. And he says that, like, he says it to, you know what I mean? He says it to another guy, and the guy's like, "Excuse me?" And he thinks he's just saying hello because that's how Chris Tucker's been introducing himself to everybody in the scene. And they try and kick the shit out of Jackie Chan, and Jackie Chan does Jackie Chan stuff, and it works. And the scene's funny, but it's not because it's a situational. You know what I mean? Like, context is completely gone. You know what I mean? I don't think that's a racist scene. It's a funny situation.
Yeah, totally. And it really is it is the most iconic scene of the movie. It's probably one of the most iconic scenes of all the Richard Pryor, Gene Wilder team ups.
I didn't know about it. Like when you were like, "Is that the one where he does blackface?" Really? I was like, "I don't know that one."
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that he did that.
Like the imagery, you've never seen like Gene Wilder dressed like that.
Probably
scene?
Now you probably have, but it didn't. This one kind of, I always got this one mixed up with Stir Crazy because that's the one. Stir Crazy is the one a lot of people talk about.
Sure, but this was a huge movie.
Yeah, it was a huge hit. It was
51 million, I think it made box office.
And like, I mean, it's wild. Can we talk about that last scene, like the
train?
Looked. I don't know how they did it. I found 3 different like making of things, and I don't know how they did it. One of the things has photos of it because I'm watching the first time watching. I'm like, okay, is that a model?
Yeah.
No, there's people there.
Yeah.
Is it green screen? No. Is it rotoscope? Like, what? They didn't drive a train through Union Station. So what did they do? Like,
there's one scene in that whole sequence.
Mm-hmm.
There's one scene that is, I guess, green screened where it's right with the train. It's an angle of the train that's coming in, and in front of the train, you see it's about to hit a wall that is black and reflective, and then off to the side. So you got the train on the left side, and you got people running on the right.
I think I know the exact.
That's the only scene. The rest of it is either there might have been a couple models in there, but I
don't think there were any models. I really don't. I know because I rewound.
It's all real
and
I'm
like,
practical. It's crazy.
They must have built a set around a train.
Obviously,
you know what I mean.
They didn't crash it through Union Station, but
they must have had a. But then, how did they do it? Do they? That's what drives me crazy. There are behind the scenes vignettes on this, and they don't mention this scene.
You think you would talk about that because it's like it's probably the most expensive sequence in the movie.
It's one of the biggest things when you type in YouTube, like half up or like the Silver Streak train scene.
Yeah.
Like it's train crash scene.
Yeah. It's amazing. Like it is.
I couldn't believe it. It was like, what? It was like Die Hard level. It reminded me of in Die Hard 3 where they crashed the subway train. It was just like, holy shit. Like this is real.
This was better than that. I would argue.
This was huge. This was like, it was straight out of an action movie.
Yeah.
Which
is weird. This movie took a weird turn at the end where it does turn into just.
Oh, you mean when everybody gets a machine gun?
Everybody gets a machine gun. I mean, literally, the Fed. He takes Gene Wilder's gun from him because he's like, "You're not a cop." But then they're like, "Okay, we're gonna go get him now. Here's your gun back. Oh, and here's 7 boxes of ammunition.
Yeah,
just some civilian." No, it definitely got weird. I mean, not weird, but it just turned. But that train scene was phenomenal, and shame on them. A lot of it was shot in Chicago, but the cop goes on the walkie-talkie. He's like, The train's about to crash into Central Station.
Central Station.
There's no Central Station in Chicago, you asshole.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't just say Union Station. The other one, we've got Union Station, we've got Ogilvy. I understand if you don't want to say Ogilvy Station, but say Union Station. It's in Chicago.
But if it was coming from LA, I think it would be coming into Union.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
so say Union. But I don't know why they say Central.
I mean, then again, that was 40 years ago. So
yeah. Isn't that New York? Union or Central Station?
Yeah, the Grand Central Station.
Grand Central, okay.
But
it was just whatever.
But they did shoot a lot of it a lot of the interior shots were at Union Station.
Okay.
And there's even some shots that say Union Station.
Totally, man.
I
paused a lot of those sequences, especially there's a scene where they show the gift shop that it crashes through the wall.
Yeah, that's not, I mean, maybe it was then, but
right.
That's not there.
But I paused it because I wanted to see, there was a big sign that said toys. And I wanted to see if I could recognize any 70s toys. But I was like, it was all generic shit. But yeah, dude, it was mind boggling. And I loved at the end, the Gene Wilder and the girl come out and they're standing in front of the train. And he says, like, it looks like it's smiling, and like it had crashed and got some damage in the shape of a smile. It was just like a cool little tidbit of extra, I guess.
Yeah. I loved when they came out after the crash and they were just like happy, because I'm watching this being like, somebody's getting fucking fired. Like, this is a huge thing. I mean, it wasn't like this, but trains have crashed like this at the CTA before.
Oh,
not where it like went through but yeah, like big derailments.
Wow.
Yeah. I used to have to go to derailments all the time, man.
I mean, like when something like that happens, I kind of, in the back of my head, I remember, I believe I was living in the city when something like that happened. But
basically the driver fell asleep and went in. Yeah. I forget where it was. It was it was a blue line, and then it leaked online. It leaked onto the internet.
Like the video did?
Yeah, the crash. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I remember this.
I think I know. I haven't talked to him.
Wasn't it the blue line going into the airport?
Yeah, it was O'Hare. That's what it was.
Yeah. Totally, man. I remember that. Yeah, that's freaky. Especially if you're listening to this and you've ever taken that train, like the airport is the last stop, and it looks it looks just like this, where there's like a stopper and there's just a wall, and it's like, no, you can't go any further.
I was so glad, because that was like, I was on the emergency crew at the time. So like that was the kind of shit I had to respond to. And I had the night off that night. I was so pumped.
That you weren't working.
Yeah, I didn't have to go to that.
Jeez. I wrote down a couple of things about Fred Willard. He was obviously very young, at least for the Fred Willard that we knew. Rest in peace. But he had just a couple of Fred Willard lines, man, where he's talking to the cops, and the cops like, what do you got to do something about this? And he says like holy, he's just like things that I can always hear Fred Willard saying. He's like holy
Toledo and
holy moly. He says holy moly. Yeah, dude.
And I love that he's like, I got to clear that my boss. Like, I don't have the authority. Just like, dude, somebody's got to. Like this whole scene at the end, like with this giant train crash, like could have been avoided if he was just like, all right,
press the button or whatever. Yeah. Another thing that I wanted to, and this is a testament to the relationship that they had, but when Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder say their goodbyes the first time, it happens twice, but when they're with the feds and whatever, Gene Wilder just looks at him and he says, "Thanks for everything." And Richard Pryor responds, "My pleasure." It's an awesome scene, man. It's the most sincere two people saying goodbye to each other that I've seen in a long time. I always there's very little. Gene Wilder was a very, very private person. He wrote an autobiography called Kiss Me Like a Stranger. Phenomenal book, where he, for the first time, kind of like really delved into his history working with Richard Pryor, Mel Brooks, Gilda Radner, their relationship for the first time. And I'm always latching onto that stuff because there's so little of it. Watching that scene, it's just a simple goodbye, but it's like Richard Pryor, man, in that moment is a different Richard Pryor than I'm used to, especially with stand-up and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool to see. Really like sweet, genuine, sincere scene between the two of them. And that's what they had, man. That's what the kind of thing that they had. I don't think I've seen that before or since between two actors,
Yeah, it had a Planes and Automobiles vibe to it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like they just, and it's so weird, like how well that chemistry works. It works right away, and you just like, I think it's little things when he's like, I forget what he says to him, where he's like, "Oh, you're doing this? Like, all right." Like you feel like the characters like each other right away.
Absolutely. Why was Richard Pryor so devoted to him? I missed that. As far as helping him
he
out.
just liked him.
Yeah.
Like flat out, like they're driving and he says something. Whatever he says, the first time Richard Pryor is like, "Oh, okay, it's like that." You're like one of these guys, okay? Like he's like, yeah, like he just likes him. You know,
I think it's the scene. Is it the scene where he tackles that guy, the dude who says the
I think so,
with the car.
I think where
he like flies out of nowhere and just tackles the guy.
Yeah, there's a few. He does that. Then he takes somebody's gun. Like he takes the gun right out of his hand.
The dude's pointing the gun at him. And he just takes it from him. Like I'm like, you don't think of Gene Wilder like that, you know?
Both times I'm like, that's either we could have gotten shot either way. Like even the tackle was like he's holding a shotgun. Like even if you successfully tackle him, he can pull the trigger. Like
that's Gene Wilder, man. He's just such a like. As much as I love him and know his work, he's still such a mystery. Like aside from Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein, he made a lot of movies where he was this like romantic lead. And I look at Gene Wilder and I don't see that. I don't see a Brad Pitt or a John Hamm or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I see Willy Wonka, man.
Yeah. Like, but he made a lot of movies. The woman, what was it? Woman with One Red Shoe or whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna binge
Kelly LeBrock movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna binge Gene Wilder movies because it really, especially the Richard Pryor ones, man. Like I haven't seen No Evil, Hear No Evil in probably 20 years, man. It's been a long time.
It was great stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch a bunch of them.
Yeah,
you know, I'm gonna rewatch The Toy.
The
Toy. Yeah, The Toy.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, I've seen it a ton. They used to play on Comedy Central all the time. It's just about a rich kid that
Gene Wilder?
Man, no, it's Richard Pryor.
Oh, okay. I know the movie. I thought you were talking about Gene Wilder.
That one. I wonder if that one holds up socially because if I remember right, the plot of the movie is essentially, oh man, that might be touchy. Like,
really?
Yeah, it's like a millionaire. It's like a millionaire with this like spoiled kid, and he basically hires Richard Pryor to be the kid's toy, to be like, do whatever he's gonna play with you. You can do whatever you want. Well, you got to do whatever the kid says. I don't know. I wonder if that holds up like socially. Like, all right, you're gonna be my 8-year-old slave.
That's weird. That's
like,
weird. That's weird.
I wonder. Because at the time it felt harmless, but that one might feel weird now.
Yeah. Brewster's Millions. Is that another one?
Yeah, that's one I've never seen, but I see a lot.
Pretty sure John Candy is the other star in that. In Brewster's
Is he?
Millions. Yeah, that looks like a good one.
There's Harlem Nights.
Harlem Nights. That's Eddie Murphy directed that.
Yeah, he directed that.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor, man.
I'm not terribly
fucking best
with his stuff, but everything I've seen.
His stand-up, man. I don't want to say it doesn't all hold up, but like nobody's does. It's still really solid.
Yeah.
He's one of the best of all time.
The last thing I got, you got more. I wanted to talk about the very end. So it was just an awesome line that I thought of you when he said it. But she's like, Richard Pryor's is in the yellow car in the mall or in the train station. He's driving away, and she's like, and he like kind of just lifts his hand and he like nods to him and he waves.
One of these.
And she's like, "What's he doing?" And Gene Wilder's like, "He's crazy." And like,
I didn't notice that.
And it's just like, all right. It was just an awesome, like, that's what you're going to say. Cool. All right. Dig it. I wish the movie had ended right there. There were a couple other lines afterwards, but man, that would have been awesome. Freeze frame. He's crazy. Freeze frame. That's awesome.
That's funny. The one thing I forgot to bring up, the bad guy in this, first of all, he was great the whole time because he was just such a slime ball, like rich piece of shit. But he also was like, and he was so shitty to like the waits. Like they really did a good job of like, he was real shitty to the staff in every aspect. He was a fucking asshole. But at the end, man, I mean, I understand he's desperate, but he basically steals the train.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole time watching this helicopter, I'm like there's a big helicopter chase. They're trying to catch and it's like, it's a train. Like, you know where it's going. It's not like, you know what I mean? Like, you guys, you just cut them off at the state, wherever. I mean, it's going one way.
Right.
There's no, there's no getting out. There's no train getaways.
Good movie, man. I don't know when the last time I saw this, but it's definitely one that for my Gene Wilder stuff that I go back to. And the scene, the blackface scene, like it is like, it makes the movie, without that scene, like it's a different movie.
Yeah. It's the funniest scene in the movie.
It's the funniest scene in the movie. And it's not to make fun of anybody. So it works. And
I think it holds up.
Yeah.
I mean,
to see the two of them together.
It might be controversial.
I remember when I was a kid, man, just being aware of how awkward Gene Wilder was.
My favorite part of the whole thing is Gene Wilder's yelling at Richard Pryor, like, what are you crazy? This isn't going to work.
Yeah.
And he turns his head and he like, I think it's funny as the line about, he just turns head. He's like, are you sure, man? Look at you. And like, you see Richard or Gene Wilder go like, oh shit. It is working. like it's like, oh yeah. Okay. All right. I see what we're doing here.
Oh shit. All right. You got anything else?
No, it was great.
Cool.
It was great.
Good stuff. So next week we got the letter Y. I've got the letter Y. And I'm just going to cut to the chase, man. And just, it's another garbage letter.
Yeah.
Young Frankenstein.
Definitely.
Young Frankenstein.
Fuck yeah. All right, good. Because I was all right. You sent me a text earlier and I was like, shit, man, it really is slim pickings. I'm like, what about Young Frankenstein? And you didn't reply. I was like, I was thinking you might be like, we just did Gene Wilder, but who cares? Let's do another Gene Wilder.
Exactly.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in forever.
Really?
It's been a really, really long time.
I didn't want to do it. I wanted to really try to find something that we hadn't seen or whatever, but there just isn't. And I'm not a fan of Italian horror for the most part. And there isn't even that much of that. And
no, there isn't. Most of the ones I found were, that began with why I were.
So I don't even know if we can.
There's one Japanese.
Those movies. Yeah. Last season we did You're Next.
Yeah. Which is
a new movie.
Yeah. It's a newer one.
So this is in my top 3 favorite movies of all time, which was another reason I didn't want to do it, because I know it so well. I've talked about it. I've watched it so much, but it'll be cool. It has been, I watch it at least once a year. But it's been a really long time for me. It's been a couple of years since, but I quote it all the time. So it's Mel Brooks, it's Gene Wilder. The cast is phenomenal. It's got like the hottest Terry Garr. I've always had like a crush on her. So yeah, Young Frankenstein for the letter Y next week. And that's going to be episode 50. I think that's episode 60.
Cool.
So yeah, look forward to that. What else am I forgetting? Social media at Death by Podcast on Instagram. We've got the podcast is on YouTube if you're interested in it. If you want to support the show directly and hear us talk even more, we've got our Patreon, it's patreon.com/Death by Podcast, where we have our second podcast, BoobTube TV. And this week, man, we watched Kevin's getting excited over there. We watched the second half of the werewolf TV show from 1988, which was just amazing. It was fucking awesome.
Very good. Very good.
Very good. Some of the I would say the 3rd or 4th best werewolf costume in history, I would think. Maybe the 3rd. Like Howling.
I would say the 3rd of anything we've watched on here.
Okay.
So
what would be one? What would be another?
I don't know.
Howling,
but
London, this one, Bad Moon has a really good werewolf costume. There aren't that many.
Yeah, we'd have to think about it.
So yeah. Anyway, that's on the Patreon. We talked about that. We also got behind the scenes stuff. You can support the show. Patreon.com/Death by Podcast. And I think that's it. It was a big show. We talked about a lot of things. Thanks for tuning in. Please, if you dig the show, share it. Just tell people about it. With that, I'm your host, Adam. That is your other host,
Kevin.
It's Militon. Match that, son.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh my God, that might have been the best one that you've done so far. That was good. Can't top that. Thank you, folks. We will talk to you next week. Adios.